Officer Jordan Matthews was, by all appearances, on a fast track to success. At just 29, he had already built a strong reputation within the Detroit Police Department. Known for his ambition and tireless work ethic, Jordan had quickly climbed the ranks, impressing both his peers and superiors. His dedication to the badge was unquestionable, and many in the department believed he had a brilliant future ahead. Yet, despite his professional accomplishments, Jordan felt an underlying emptiness in his personal life. He had poured so much of himself into his career that the idea of settling down had always seemed like a distant dream. That changed one warm summer night in 2014. Jordan attended a city gala, a networking event filled with politicians, business leaders, and other public servants. Amid the mingling crowd, he met Alicia Bennett, a 32-year-old event planner who had carved out a name for herself from scratch, becoming one of Detroit's most sought-after coordinators. Alicia had a confidence that was hard to ignore, and her poised, magnetic charm made her stand out in any room. From the moment Jordan saw her, he was drawn in. A brief exchange of words turned into an extended conversation, and by the end of the night, he knew he had met someone special. In the weeks that followed, their relationship bloomed. Alicia, with her vibrant personality, brought a rush of excitement into Jordan's otherwise structured life. They began spending nearly every evening together, whether savoring meals at Detroit's top restaurants or sharing quiet nights in her downtown apartment. Their connection felt effortless, and before long, Jordan was envisioning a future with her, a future that seemed brighter with Alicia in it. By early 2015, they had taken the next step and moved in together. Their romance became the talk of friends and family. Jordan's colleagues at the department noticed how much more relaxed and cheerful he seemed, while Alicia's friends admired the stability he brought into her life. Their whirlwind love story had all the markings of perfection. In June of that year, only 6 months after their first meeting, Jordan proposed to Alicia during a sunset stroll on Belle Isle, Detroit's beloved Island Park. With the city skyline glowing behind them, Alicia said yes. Their engagement was announced shortly after. The wedding followed in the fall, a small, intimate ceremony with only close friends and relatives, held in an elegant downtown venue. The celebration was understated yet refined, blending Jordan's reserved nature with Alicia's professional finesse. From the outside, they looked like the perfect couple, successful, in love, and destined for a bright future. Alicia continued her thriving career, while Jordan was on track for promotion. But beneath the polished surface of their marriage, hairline cracks began to form. At first, the changes in Alicia were subtle. She sometimes seemed distracted, her vibrant energy dimmed by stress. Jordan noticed but chose not to push, chalking it up to work pressure or the normal adjustments of married life. By late 2015, though, the shifts became harder to ignore. Alicia began taking phone calls in the other room, her voice low when Jordan was nearby. When asked, she brushed it off. Just work. Mood swings followed. Some days she was warm and affectionate. Others, she was distant and preoccupied. Jordan, sharp-eyed and intuitive on the job, found that love clouded his instincts at home. He didn't want to believe something was wrong. He convinced himself it was just a phase. But Alicia's phone calls became more frequent, her reasons for leaving the house increasingly vague. She claimed last-minute client emergencies or late meetings that kept her out for hours. Sometimes she came home tense and irritable, offering only curt answers. By midsummer 2016, the changes were undeniable. Alicia was away from home more often, and her excuses were growing thinner. She was pulling away emotionally and physically. The intimacy they once shared had dwindled, replaced by a wall Jordan couldn't climb. He wondered if work stress was to blame, but deep down he suspected something else. The thought of her being involved with someone else gnawed at him. Determined to find the truth, Jordan began paying closer attention. He noted when she left, how long she was gone, and checked her phone when she wasn't looking. But there was nothing obvious, just his gut telling him something was off. The tension between them thickened. Alicia sensed a suspicion and became more defensive, snapping at him for asking too many questions. The warmth and openness that once defined their relationship had been replaced with mistrust and frustration. By August 2016, Alicia was a shadow of the woman he had met. Her confidence was gone, replaced with a nervous tension that hung in the air. She flinched at sudden noises, gripped her phone a little too tightly, and avoided eye contact when certain topics came up. Something was weighing heavily on her. But whenever Jordan pressed, she deflected with vague reassurances that everything's fine. Everything was far from fine. The reason for Alicia's growing anxiety soon became clear. Marcus Dixon, a figure from her past, had reappeared, and he wasn't just any old acquaintance. Marcus was someone who had known Alicia during a time in her life she had spent years trying to bury. Before she met Jordan, before she built the polished, successful image she now carried, Alicia had been involved in things she never wanted the world to see. Dangerous things. Marcus, a small-time criminal with a history of petty theft and extortion, had been a part of that world. Alicia had worked tirelessly to leave it behind, cutting ties with everyone from that chapter of her life, and reinvented herself into a respected professional. But Marcus had stumbled upon her secret, and he saw an opening. He was an opportunist to his core, always ready to use any leverage he could find to squeeze money out of those with something to lose. Now, Alicia was squarely in his sights. He knew about her past. He knew what she had done and what she had lied about to get where she was. Armed with that knowledge, Marcus saw a way to make a quick fortune. It began with a phone call. One evening, Alicia was home alone when her phone rang. She didn't recognize the number, but something about it made her stomach knot. When she answered, the voice on the other end froze her in place. Calm, deliberate, it was Marcus. He wasted no time. He knew everything. The old life she had hidden from Jordan, the lies she had told to erase her past. Unless she paid him $50,000, he would tell Jordan everything. Alicia's blood ran cold. She had worked so hard to escape that world, to build something stable and respectable. Now it was all at risk of collapsing. The sum Marcus demanded was impossible. Event planning paid well, but not enough for her to pull that kind of money together overnight. Marcus didn't care. No excuses. Pay, or he would ruin her. Desperate, Alicia agreed to meet him in secret. She couldn't bring herself to tell Jordan. Not now. The thought of him finding out about who she used to be was unbearable. She started scraping together money from anywhere she could, siphoning from her business accounts, taking out small loans, dipping into her savings. But it was never enough. Marcus kept coming back, showing up unannounced, demanding more, threatening to expose her if she didn't comply. Every meeting was tense and hidden away, dark parking lots, quiet side streets, places where they wouldn't be seen. Alicia's anxiety worsened with each encounter. The walls felt like they were closing in. She knew she couldn't keep this up much longer. Her once polished composure began to crack. Sleepless nights wore her down. The stress was eating at her, and Marcus' demands only grew more aggressive. Her finances were nearly drained. By fall 2016, her erratic behavior was impossible for Jordan to ignore. Her lively personality had been replaced with jittery edge, and she often seemed distracted. At first, he tried to rationalize it. Maybe her business was just under pressure. Maybe she was dealing with a demanding client. But as the excuses became thinner and the distance between them deepened, Jordan's instincts, the ones honed from years as a cop, told him she was hiding something. The most logical explanation? An affair. It was a thought he hated, but the clues seemed to fit. Secretive phone calls, late nights, and the tense energy she carried home with her. The suspicion gnawed at him. Every time she pulled away or dodged a question, the knot in his chest tightened. One evening, when Alicia claimed she was meeting a client after work, Jordan decided to follow her. He had never done anything like it before, but the paranoia had left him with no choice. He needed answers, even if they broke him. He trailed her through the city until she pulled into a dimly lit parking lot far from downtown, an odd place for a business meeting. Jordan parked at a distance, watching as she stepped out of her car and scanned her surroundings. A few minutes later, another vehicle arrived. A man got out. From where Jordan sat, the face wasn't entirely clear, but he saw enough. Alicia approached him, exchanged a few quiet words, and handed over an envelope. The meeting was quick, tense. Her posture was stiff, her expression guarded. After the man walked away, she lingered for a moment before getting back into her car. Jordan sat frozen. The scene looked like something out of a bad crime drama. A secret rendezvous, an envelope passed in shadows. To him, it was confirmation. Alicia was seeing another man. The thought hit him like a gut punch. Every unexplained absence, every cold moment between them suddenly felt like evidence. When she came home that night, Jordan was waiting. His anger was barely contained. "Who is he?" he demanded, his voice tight with hurt and rage. "What's going on? I saw you tonight. Who was that man?" Alicia's eyes widened, but there was no guilt in her face. Only a calm explanation. She claimed it was work, that the envelope contained contracts for a difficult project. The man was a colleague, nothing more. Her delivery was so confident that, for a moment, Jordan questioned what he'd seen, but his instincts told him otherwise. The explanation felt too polished, too convenient, and those instincts were screaming. She was lying. Alicia, sensing Jordan's growing mistrust, began pulling further away. The tension in their home was thick, almost tangible, and neither seemed willing or able to address the truth. Their once loving relationship had deteriorated into a battlefield of suspicion and avoidance, with both sidestepping the inevitable confrontation. One particularly grueling day at work, Jordan came home late. His mind was still clouded with the strain of his suspicions and the relentless demands of police work. The daily pressures of the job were enough, but the tension at home had seeped into every part of his life. By the time he stepped through the door, he was drained emotionally and mentally. Something felt off immediately. Alicia was sitting at the kitchen table, her eyes distant. She barely glanced up when he entered. The cold silence between them was suffocating, feeding his frustration. Determined to get to the truth, Jordan waited for the right moment. When Alicia excused herself to take a shower, she left her phone on the counter. Normally, he would never have considered invading her privacy, but his desperation had long since eroded that boundary. Hands trembling, he picked it up and began scrolling through her messages. What he found wasn't what he had expected. There were no flirty exchanges with a secret lover, no digital breadcrumbs of an affair. Instead, there were chilling messages from Marcus Dixon, the man who had haunted her life for months. The text spelled it out plainly. Marcus was blackmailing her, demanding $50,000 to keep quiet about a dark chapter from her past. The threats were explicit. If she didn't pay, he would tell Jordan everything. Jordan's heart sank. This wasn't an affair, it was worse. Alicia, the woman he had trusted, had been hiding something monumental since the day they met, a secret capable of dismantling everything they had built together. The anger that had been simmering for months erupted. When Alicia returned, she instantly noticed something was wrong. Jordan stood rigid in the middle of the room, pale-faced, her phone clutched in his hand. Her eyes widened in fear. "Jordan, I can explain," she began, stepping toward him. "It's not what you think." But he cut her off, his voice shaking. "You've been lying to me all this time, letting him blackmail you. Why didn't you tell me?" Alicia's words tumbled out in a rush, broken, frantic. She said she had wanted to protect him, that she was afraid of losing him and the life they shared. But every explanation only fueled his anger. The pressure from Marcus had left her fragile. Now, backed into a corner, she looked helpless. And in a flash of blind rage, Jordan struck her. The blow sent her stumbling. Before she could regain her balance, she tripped, her head striking the sharp edge of the kitchen table. The sickening crack echoed to the room, followed by a terrible silence. Jordan froze. Alicia lay motionless, blood pooling beneath her head. The reality hit him like a wave. He had gone too far. Panic surged through him as he knelt beside her, shaking her, calling her name. But it was too late. Horror and disbelief closed in on him. Without thinking, driven by fear, Jordan grabbed his keys and fled. He drove aimlessly through the dark streets of Detroit, his thoughts a chaotic storm, shock, guilt, terror. How had it come to this? He had never intended to kill her, but one moment of rage had destroyed everything. Meanwhile, Marcus Dixon, always lurking in the background, saw his chance to disappear. With the money Alicia had managed to scrape together, he vanished, leaving Jordan to face the fallout alone. The next morning, a neighbor noticed the unusual silence from Alicia's house. When she peered through a window and saw her lying on the floor, she called the police. The scene was grim, and with Jordan missing, suspicion fell squarely on him. It didn't take long for the investigation to catch up. His colleagues at the Detroit Police Department were stunned. Officer Jordan Matthews, a respected and rising figure in the force, was now the prime suspect in a murder. For days, Jordan stayed on the move, weighed down by the reality of what he had done. Eventually, worn down and hollow-eyed, he walked into a precinct and confessed. The trial drew national attention, the media dissecting every detail of their lives: Alicia's past, Marcus' blackmail, the cracks in their marriage. The prosecution painted Jordan as a man consumed by jealousy and paranoia, arguing that her death was no accident. Witnesses spoke of the mounting tension, the secrecy, the volatility. The public was split. Some saw him as a man pushed past his breaking point. Others, as an abuser who had taken a life. In the end, the jury found him guilty of involuntary manslaughter. The judge acknowledged the emotional toll of the blackmail, but could not ignore that Jordan had taken a life. His once promising career was gone, replaced with a prison sentence, and the knowledge that nothing could undo what had happened that night. If this story moved you, there's so much more to uncover. Subscribe now to never miss the drama, the emotion, and the untold truths. Join the journey. Hit that button and be part of the next stories. This is Ruthless Realities. Until next time,